Okay, today we're going to look at function notation and how to evaluate functions with a given input or output. So in class today we talked about how function notation looks. So if you notice, we see f of x. F of x is equivalent to when we would see y. Okay, so y equals f of x equals. They mean the same thing. If we were to graph something, you'd see y equals. If you were to write something in function notation, you'd see f of x equals. F of x just happens to be the function name, so this is the function f. What is in parentheses here is your input. Okay, so in this case, the input is x. So they give us the function of 2x minus 3, and we need to find the following. We need to find f of negative 2. What this means is I'm going to replace x with negative 2. So my expression here is 2x minus 3. And instead of x, just the same way we evaluated, we replace the x with negative 2, always using parentheses when I do so. So 2 parentheses negative 2 minus 3. Now using the calculators, I can type this in directly how I see it, or I could use order of operations or PEMDAS to simplify. If I were to plug this into the calculator, I would get negative 7. How I would write this is f of negative 2 equals negative 7. Again, input negative 2, output negative 7. If I had f of 7 here, that means I'm going to input 7 for x. So 2 parentheses 7 minus 3. Again, plugging this into the calculator, 2 times 7 is 14, minus 3 is 11. So I would have f of 7 equals 11. Sometimes I may have f of x equals 9. In this case, the 9 is my output, and I need to figure out what the input is to give me the output of 9. So since f of x equals 2x minus 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my function, set it equal to 9. Now again, here, if it was inside the parentheses, I would have plugged it in for x. But since it's outside, it's set equal to 9. I'm looking to see what this input is. So I'm going to solve this just like I would any equation here. I'm going to add 3 to both sides, giving me 2x equals 12, and then divide by 2, giving me x equals 6. So that means the input of 6 would give me the output of 9. And I could always check my work by plugging it in to see what I get. And a little bit more difficult here, and I want to make sure I used a negative with something that was being squared. Again, I have h of x here. I do have multiple x's. Any x I see, I'm going to substitute negative 3 in for it. So instead of the x, I'm going to put parentheses, negative 3 squared, minus 3, parenthesis, negative 3, plus 5. And I'd plug this all into my calculator here. If I wanted to solve using order of operations, negative 3 squared, make sure we use parentheses. If we were using a calculator, it would be positive 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, plus 5. So this would equal 23. So I would write h of negative 3 equals 23. We'll talk about how ordered pairs look in this situation the next lesson. Okay, so there's a little bit of an introduction to this, and hopefully that helps you guys out. Thanks, guys.